Advanced. Sort of going to use a little bit of the same information from the first session that we'll play into this one. The goo.gl will take you to the presentation from today that we're going to do, as well the recording. I am recording today's session, so you can go back and watch it again if you want to, whatever the case may be. But goo.gl/PJ, capital J, D98. Fine gentleman somewhere floating around's got the stickers for today, so you guys make sure you get your sticker so that you can get credit for being here. My email address is up there. Feel free to drop me an email if you have any questions, need some help after today. Feel free to drop me an email and I'll get back with you about how you can do it, whatever the case may be. I get a lot of questions from folks about how do I do this, or I can't figure this out, or whatever the case. Feel free, drop me an email and I'll respond back to you. I am on the road a good bit. For instance, today I'm here. Monday I'm somewhere else. I'm somewhere else on Tuesday. I travel a lot around the state. So it may take me a day or two to get back with you, but I will get back with you. If you don't get a response within 2 days from me, forward that email to me and say, I didn't get a response from you. And that makes me say, okay, I need to go ahead and make sure I get this one back. Okay? So Google Sites. Google Sites is where everything comes back together. How many of you are only using Google Docs? Anybody? Come on, guys. All of you still use Microsoft Office? Y'all like Office or something? Oh! How many of you use Google Docs? Okay, that's better. There we go. Now, how many of you still use Microsoft Office? Boo. No, I'm just picking. It's whatever floats your boat, whatever you like. For me, I use Google Docs. I don't use Microsoft Office. I use it maybe 2% of all the documents that I do. Maybe less than 2% now. Google Sites is where we bring it all back together. How many of you are doing Flip the Classroom? Anybody? Have you heard of Flip the Classroom? Okay, I'm going to show you some things that may help you to take that next step of flipping your classroom around. Flip the Classroom is where you create videos for your students, and you got to post them somewhere. Whether it's YouTube, your Google Drive, whatever, you can post videos and then turn around and tell the students how to get to it so that you're not telling them over and over and over how to do something. You can reference the videos. Or, to me, it's sort of like recording a webinar and then telling somebody, well, you know, I've already done that. Go watch the webinar, and if you still don't get it, then let's sit down and let's go through it step by step by step. Or whatever the case may be, or students out that day, whatever the case is. Now, it's also, Google Sites are also a place that we can post our assignments, our documents, our calendar of what's going on in the classroom, or whatever the case may be. So, I like to use Google Sites to bridge it all back together. Or for me, it's a site where I post all of my trainings. So we'll actually, this is the goo.gl site that I post a lot of trainings to, recordings, things along those lines. So we'll bring it all back in together. So today while we're doing the session, I'll actually be posting the presentation as well as other things that we've done. So Google Sites, how many of you already have a Google site? Being this is Google Sites Advanced, I was hoping to see more hands up. Great. All right, so I've got a Google site out here. Those of you that have created a site, how did you do it? Did you do it with a template? Or did you just dive straight in, just hardcore, started with a blank slate, and started from the ground up? I'm a very interactive person. You got to talk to me here.
Mine is open from the school.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad y'all told me. I didn't want to overstep any boundaries. Okay, has to look like the school. Not a problem. I had to sort of conform to that too. I had to put our company logo, had to put the things on there. It has to conform to those different types of things. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, you conform to the school standards, but there's some additional things that you can do to dress it up, do some customization, things like that, hopefully. Hopefully. I'm not exactly sure about the standards and everything. Maybe we'll take a look at somebody's website if you want to here in a few minutes.
Sorry, but we are allowed to, from that standard, we're allowed to make our own Google site.
Okay. Good deal. So you're able to create your own Google site and link to it and everything. Okay. The sites that y'all use, the classroom sites, is it through whatever the district uses? Okay. So like School Fusion, School Wires, or whichever school probably name it is. Okay, that's fine. And then you can link to it off of with your Google site. So, sites.google.com. You go to sites.google.com, or if you're inside of your Google Drive, you click on the Rubik's Cube or the 9-digit square, and you can go to Google Sites. You get in there, and the first thing that you want to do is you want to create a website. Well, I'm going to click over here on mine that's underneath my company. I can tell it to create. When you create a site, you get to choose. Am I starting from scratch with a blank template? Or am I going to browse the gallery to find a template that's out there and available that I want to use? Well, if I wanted to go to public, I could search. There's classroom sites, there's professional sites, whatever the case. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't get a whole lot out of these templates. Okay? I got an idea of what I want. I'm going to try to go from the ground up and make it look the way that I want it to look. So, I don't necessarily get very much out of these templates here. So, I'm going to hit cancel. And I'm going to start from the ground up. Testing Google Sites. Now, you'll notice when you create a website, it gives you, you'll notice that in the site location, I know it's a little hard to see, but it says sites.google.com / yada, 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 yada. Whoop, I don't even want to print that. I don't print. Alright, so we got sites.google.com /a / yours will say davy.k12.nc.us. Mine says mailbox MCNC. Well, then I get to choose what I want this ending to be. It automatically put the testing Google Sites. Well, I could actually make it Sites Advanced. Now, you cannot have a space in there because it's a URL. You can't have spaces in URLs. So I can go in there and I can tell it, okay, I want to select a theme. I got it zoomed in just a little much for me to see. You can select a slightly easier theme to look at. These are basically a background, to where you can choose a background that it's going to be on the backside for you. I like the color red. I might want to go with the Micro Sport or the Solitude or something along those lines. Or maybe I don't want to choose any of those themes. I can go underneath the more options, and I can see I can go ahead and set some categories or site description. Now, site categories and site descriptions. How many of you want your website seen to the world? Anybody head over clubs? FFA, FBLA, DECA, anything like that? If you want your schools, your club website, maybe you're doing a club site, your teacher website, whatever, you fill out those site categories and the site description. Those are the things that Google, Bing, things like that pick up on to get registered in with their website, their search engines. Okay? That's going to be that you want to fill out those different categories to be able to pick that up. And we can edit that later if we need to. So I'm going to choose the simple here. I'm going to just say create. It's creating our site. We have our Google site. Now you'll notice my company logo showed up automatically. Yours may be the same way here at David County Schools. I'm not exactly sure. So I've got this very basic site right now. Well, we want to go in and start customizing. Now, we can edit our site layout. Site layout being how these things up top, the side, things like that show up. Editing our site layout. Your sidebar. Do you want a side navigation bar? Or do you want a horizontal navigation bar? You can choose those options. Okay? Now, we can also do a custom footer. Custom footer being what shows up at the bottom of every one of your websites. Maybe you want your email address, your classroom number, your school number, whatever the case may be. You can have that show up in your footer. These are all things a lot of people don't realize they can do. Now, the site width. That's how wide your site is. How wide do you make your websites now? I don't know. I just do what it tells me, right? So, most used to, you did a website 640 by 480. That was when we had 15-inch monitors or 12-inch monitors, those big tubes, like that TV over there, you know. That's what 640 by 480 is a TV. Now we see a lot bigger screens, a lot of projectors, 19, 20-inch, whatever types of screens. You can actually go to 1024 by 768, is I think what it is. It's what you want to sort of confine your websites to now. Because our eyes are getting better, we can see closer, right? You know, I don't know. It's just a way that you can view it. So on my screen here, if I go and I look here, and I am using a Chromebook, we'll see my resolution is set to 1366 by 768. So it's a pretty good size screen. So whatever this is currently set at, looks like it's 1024 for me to go from end to end where the date is that I can set. Well, that's fine. Maybe I want to adjust that. Well, we can adjust it by going into our Manage Site and down to our themes and colors. Now, getting creative with a site. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of websites here in a second that are from some other schools that they've gotten a little creative on how they do it. Background. You can use the defaults or you can put an image back there. Well, I'm going to bring up this charter school because it's a Google site. You see up at the top, they've got this logo up here across the top. Well, all in all, how your website is set up determines how wide it is, how everything shows up. So you see, as I zoom in, those things sort of stay the same size and everything's all parallel together. They've got a header that they've customized to put up there. Burke County Schools has done sort of the same type of thing. The background's up there. They've got a background or a header. They've customized it to be how they want to have it for their website. Now, you can also be creative in when you create these things. This one They done some work. And this background that's up there, they've got writing in it to where it all lays out nicely with the search capability. You want to create this for your school site or for your classroom website or maybe for your club or whatever. Maybe this is FBLA or DECA or something like that. You want to have your school logo, plus you want to have, Davie County High, DECA or whatever. Be creative in it. Put a little slogan up there. You've got to have a little more knowledge because you've got to create that background in the size that you're going to make your website. You got to know my site's going to be 1024 by 768. So I know I need to make that exactly that wide. Your art teachers, your computer teachers, talk to them about, do you have Photoshop? Can we get together and do this? Or maybe do you have some type of open source software that we can use to create this background that I want to create? There's also things online to help you create them as well. And here I'm going to open up their custom logo. Ah, darn. That's the logo when I didn't want that. Come on, I just want that background. Okay, it's a background image. I can go in and get that later for you if you're interested in seeing it. So you can modify that background area to make it look how you want it to look. You just have to build it, that background image, your overall site. Say you wanted a background down here of something different. You could. You're making one for the baseball team, so you want a bunch of baseball bats, or you want a picture of your field. This one is a picture back here of a baseball field, the baseball field on there. So with it, it's back there. We created it as a header. We had to do the writing up there, and it's imported in. You can do those different types of things with it. So you got to go in, design your image to the size that it needs to be. You can also have a wrapper image. The wrapper image is going to be, if it's going to wrap around the entire page, as you scroll up and down, it sort of scrolls with you, goes with you down your page. Your site headers, we can customize all of those different types of things. Now, remember I told you guys I chose that simple earlier? Maybe I want to change it to something else. I want to go back and I want to use this legal pad. Puts those things out there. That doesn't necessarily match up very good to what I want it to look like. I can change those around if we want to. Which one is it that I wanted to pull up? So we'll just keep that ski one. It's pretty basic for us and everything as well. Okay. Sidebar gadgets. If you told it to have a sidebar, you could choose those backgrounds to different colors for the background. So if we had that sidebar over here, we could choose a different color to where it would show up in orange, maybe. We're going to really mess this site up. Horizontal. That horizontal piece that we told it right here that we wanted it to have. We want to choose a different color. We'll choose blue. Purple. And we're going to go back out here to our site now. Come on. Let me go and change our layout. Put that background back over here. And you'll see that we got that orange background now. So we got that ugly orange over there to where we have those different options. So you can add things in, you can take it away, modify your site however you want to build it. Or you can start with a template that somebody else creates for you. Now, I've got a website here that I've created. I've got different things that are on there. Now, I want to grant Sally or John or somebody else access to my site. But I only want them to do certain pieces of my site. Maybe this is a team collaboration of students that are working on a website. How many of you have ever used page level permissions? Anybody? Got one? So page level permissions. I've got a site I've designed up. Well, I want to allow other people to work on my page. So I'm going to go up here, and you see I've got turn page level permissions off. I've already got it on. Well, I want to add other people to my document. I'm going to add my personal Gmail, and I'm going to say he can view only my site. Yes, I know. It's giving me all those messages saying, are you sure you really want to share this with him? Yes, I know who he is. I want to share it with him to let him edit some of it. So we've got John added in. Pretend his name is Sally. Got it added in there to where he can view the site. Now, if I go down to Davey, I've already flipped it on to where up here page level permissions is on. Yours will say turn page level permissions on. Now, if I go down to Davey, it says use the same permissions and members as trainings and information to site area. I can hit change. And I want to say, no, I want to use custom permissions. Custom permissions, add new users to this page. And say save. Now, I can actually go in and change it to where John can actually edit this portion. And I can hit save. Now, John, my personal account, can edit the Davie County Schools area, but he cannot mess with any of my other pages. He's allowed to mess with that. So my classroom is a project. We got to create a project to where everybody has a piece of the research. And they're going to publish their research on our Google site. But only to their area of the site. And they all have to go in and do different areas. So I can change that around to where different groups have access to different areas. I can go in and change that if I want to, back to where he has only view access. I can also go down another layer. I've got another layer here of Google Sites Basic. I can actually change that one. Come on up. Custom permissions. So now John can only view underneath the Google Sites Basic class, but he can actually edit the Davie 2015. What I'm going to do, come on. How many of you are familiar with incognito? Incognito mode is a great way to being able to see what your website would look like in a view that's public without you being logged in. Or maybe if you have multiple accounts like I do that you're working off of, that you can log into multiple accounts so that you don't get them confused. So now I see that I'm in here. I'm going to sign in. Come on. And I can go down to Dare County Schools. Not Dare. Davie. We're in one of the D's. And I see that I have edit permissions on Davie County Schools site. But if I go to the way that we know that, I can edit it here. Or I go down to Google Sites Basic. Now I can only view that piece. So if I go back to Davie County Schools, I can edit. And I can put in whatever type of information that I want to do. I can change that page's layout. I can do a lot of different types of things to that area. On the other hand, when I go to manage the site, you don't have permission to actually do anything else. You got to request access or change accounts to the actual owner of the site. I don't want to do that. I'm going to just stay right here, and I see that I can go in and I can see the sites, and I can go to test and I can view those different types of things. Now we can also, if I wanted to, go remove John from up here. Let's not remove him there. I want to go down here to the Google Sites Basics, and I'm going to go to Test, and I'm going to change this. The test site, I want to make this portion to where it's off, only specific people can access this area. So I've got my DECA class, or my DECA club. I want to have the main part of my page anybody in the world can see. But there's a certain portion of it that only the officers of the organization can see it. So I can then change that to where only specific people can access. And then I see that it says specific people can access. Me, because I'm the owner, I can't take myself off of it. And then J.R. Wharf at Gmail can also view that page. Well, maybe I want to take him off. I want to take him off. And then it's only for me to see those pages. Or maybe I want to leave him on. He's on there. I've saved. I go back over here. He can see it currently, the test area. He can see it. But I'm going to close out my incognito mode. Great thing about incognito, as soon as you close it, all your settings are gone. So if I reopen it back up, I go to test. It says, oops, I'm sorry, you got to log in to be able to view that page. But if I go to just the basic, take the test off of it, I can see basic. But hey, wait a minute. If I'm over here, I see there's supposed to be a page under Google Sites Basic called Test. But in the incognito mode, all it goes down to is Google Sites Basic. If you're logged in, you're able to see the additional things that you're supposed to see, but not if you're not. Where else have I seen this used? I've got a school that's using it for their students. If you are a student of that school, you're able to see the announcements. If you're not a student of that school, you don't get to see it. You got to log into your Google account. You can see the announcements that are going on at the school. But the general public are not able to see those types of things. That's cases that I've seen that used. Questions on the permissions there? Alright, so I want to hear from you guys. What are some things that you want to know how to do with the Google Sites? I've got one more thing I know with calendars that I want to show somebody, but things that you want to see with Google Sites. How to do anything along those lines. Or y'all just a quiet group? You're ready for lunch? It's been a long day.
Can Google work with a Scorch plugin that works with Sibelius? It puts music on the websites. Because I've tried doing it and it looks at me like I'm doing something.
I'm not familiar with the Scorch.
Okay.
We can look at it. I know what I have done is I have uploaded some MP3s into my Google Drive, and then I embed them in on my site through there to play.
The Scorch, it actually puts the sheet music up for the kids.
Okay.
And it actually has a playback, and it actually has a little follow the little arrow thing. And it's run through Sibelius, Avid Technologies, and when I had, we used to use TeacherWeb a few years back. It worked really well with it, but I have yet to find a way to take the Scorch code and then import it into Google Sites.
Okay. Does it give you iframe code?
They give some, yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with how to add iframes into Google? So what he's asking is basically he's wanting to embed data from another site into his site. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new page here, and I'm going to call it Google Sites Advanced. This will actually be the site that the video gets embedded to here in a little bit. I'm going to make that there, and I'm going to make it underneath the Davy 2015, and I'm going to hit Create. So, there are these things called gadgets that you can do. You can also do HTML. For instance, those of you that have gone back, you write your own HTML code. You started out doing line breaks and HTML, header this, body colors and everything like that when you had to type it in Notepad, save it as an HTML file, open it up with your web browser to see what it looked like. Those days are gone, right? You can actually go hit the HTML, and if they give you all the data, you can drop it in there, the iframe source, and be able to embed it in directly right there. Now, if they don't, you can also go to Insert. And you can go to the gadget, search for iframe. No. And you can get the include gadget iframe that will allow you to drop the code inside of there, give it the link that you want, and then it may go ahead and embed it directly into your site. That's one way that I've used before to bring over some of those pieces. But if they give you the actual iframe code, you can actually just hit the HTML, paste it in there, and then it will embed it in there for you. So, to piggyback off of what his is, I'm going to show you guys the iframe and embedding with a Google Calendar as well with another question that I had earlier. What was your question?
I've been using that Google Sites for several years now, and I've always had links on the site will disappear. I don't know. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. So like you have to like highlight sometimes. I don't use my sites as much now than I'm using Google Classroom, but
Okay.
I've never been able to figure out what's going on with that.
So the links would sort of disappear and you got to highlight over them.
Yeah, I check the colors and all that.
What that sounds like is over in your no. The visited link color has been changed to white. That would be the thing that I would check. And you go to sidebar gadgets, under the themes, colors, and fonts, sidebar gadgets, text, and you have to scroll down to get to the visited link color, but it sounds like it's marked as white. And then after you visited a link, it's going to disappear on you. And then you may go to another machine that's never visited it, and it'll actually show up. But after you click on it and then go back to it, it's going to be gone again. If it's not that, that's very interesting.
I think I checked that at one point, but I don't use my site as much now in the classroom. So I'll get back to double check.
I would definitely check that one to make sure. And then, yeah, it's almost got to be what it is, I'm thinking. But we can take a look here in a few minutes if you want to as well. So I'm going to go to Google Sites Advanced. Now, how many of you use a calendar? I live by my calendar, as you're going to see. If it's not on my calendar, I don't know where I'm supposed to be at. Okay? So I have to have my calendar, know where I'm at, know where I'm going, what meetings I'm supposed to be at. You can actually create multiple calendars inside of your Google environment. Here I've got a second calendar called Summer Webinar Series. And I've also got my John Wharf one. My John Wharf has all of my data and everything like that. Well, we've just wrapped up last week doing our webinar series of technology types of things for network administrators and things along those lines. Every Wednesday we were doing a calendar, doing some different types of things. Well, underneath my calendars, you can create a new calendar. I've already got this one here. So I'm going to go to the calendar settings. Well, I talked about that iframe data. Google gives you the iframe data to be able to share this on your website. So I'm going to copy that iframe data. And I'm going to go over and I'm going to edit. What do you mean you're unable to connect? There we go. I'm going to go to HTML, and I'm going to paste that in there. Now, this is the same thing as going and getting that iframe gadget. It's going to automatically add it in there for me to where I can have that in there. I hit update, and you see it tells me, oh, you're embedding a Google Calendar. I hit save, and it brings in my calendar for me. Now, I need to edit that calendar. I need to make it a little different size. And it gives me the options to edit that, make it smaller, whatever the case may be. I'm actually going to change that to the week view. Now I can see that calendar a little better, but I still got to move it around. If they give you the iframe source, you can just go directly to the HTML, drop it in, and it should bring in your data. Now, the great thing about this calendar piece, I got to make this smaller so I can see it all. The great thing about this is it's not showing all of my data for my personal calendar. It's only showing my homework calendar or my webinars calendar that I want it to show. It does not show all of my different types of things that I've got out there. You can also, if you create multiple calendars, you can go to Insert, go to Calendar, and pick which of your calendars do you want it to actually show. I've got a lot of calendars that I subscribe to. I can choose. I'm going to choose to embed my personal calendar. That's fine right now. I can't choose any coworkers' calendars because I don't want to be mean to them and post it. I'm not worried about a time frame. I'm going to choose the month and say Save. Now when I hit Save, it's going to automatically bring my calendar up. And you can see all of the different items that I have out there on my calendar of where I'm supposed to be and everything along those lines. Told you guys, I stay on the go. So you can embed your calendar. You can embed a lot of different types of things. Other things that you want to know how to do on the Google Sites. Anybody going for coffee at lunch? Yes, sir.
I have a JV football website.
Okay.
And we have countdowns to games, but I can't get the countdowns to automatically resolve after they've already happened. It actually goes to the next year's, and it's just kind of tedious to have to go in there and put in one for every single week. So I was wondering if there's like some automatic way that I could set those up before the season and they dissolve as they're happening.
So I know what you're talking about. So this site here, oh, they took it down. They had a countdown on theirs. And what it would do is it would count down each week, or, excuse me, every day down till the time of their conference. Well, once it went past, it'd say negative. And you have to go in and remove it yourself. The countdowns, I have not found a way other than through some other means that it would basically make it go away. Now, one thing that I can tell you that I know you can do is if you were to have it out here on the site and you did it as a spreadsheet, you had it count down the date, number of days till the game. You put the date of the game and then it does a countdown. And if it gets to 0 or past due, it would actually be just blank. So it would be actually over. Now, that's going to involve embedding a spreadsheet and having a formula on the spreadsheet that does the countdown for you and everything. But it's a way that you could get it to do it, and then it would basically dissolve or go to 0 once you got to that time frame. If you want to do that, let me know. I'll help you get the spreadsheet set up, and then all you do is just embed it in on your site, and then it's basically has all of your stuff. The plus side of that is then if you're keeping up with your scores on the spreadsheet too, you just go in and put your scores in on the spreadsheet at the same time. Anyone else? So what are you using your sites for now? Google Sites. Communicate with parents? The students? Anybody collecting work through a Google site? Using Google Classroom? Okay. So you're encouraging your students to use Google Drive, I guess, to support that. If you are not using Google Drive, there is a script that you can use to turn in assignments. Basically what it does is it gives the students access to turn in assignments to you. They go, they choose what assignment they're turning in, and then they choose the file on their computer, and they say submit assignment, and what it does is it stores the file in your Dropbox. Or, excuse me, not in your Dropbox, in your Google Drive. Stores it in a folder in your Google Drive. The presentation that is posted up on for the first session of Google has a video here that will walk you through setting this up. As well, gets you access to the scripts to being able to add that to your site. Neat way of having the students turn in the work if they're not necessarily using Google Drive. Or maybe any drafting teachers. Drafting teachers like to use that. The students can create their drafting files. They hit submit. It all instantly goes to the teacher's Google Drive. Or maybe if they're taking photos for photography class or whatever the case, they can do that as well. Submit them to you.
I have a question about the sides. On the sidebar, it seems like the sidebar is sorted alphabetically.
Okay?
Is there any way to change that sort order?
Yes. You can change the sort order. Now, I'm going to go in. I'm going to tell it I want to manage my site, edit my site layout. And I go over to the sidebar. It gives me an edit option. I can edit my sidebar. And it says it's on the left. Actually, I'm going to click down here in my navigation area. You'll notice that it says automatically organize. If you uncheck the automatically organize, you can put things in the order that you want it to be in. Now, it will not automatically load any of your pages. You have to manually do all of your pages at that time. So then I want to say add a page, and I need to add Davy. Okay. I need to add a page. Now I need to add the page that's under Davy, Google Sites Advanced. And I got to add another page. Google Sites Basic. Now that allows me then, I can also tell it, oh, I want this one to be up. I want it to be indented. I want that one to be indented 2 more times. And you can have your sites flow the way that you want them to be over on that sidebar. You just have to remember, anytime you create a new page that you want to show up, you have to go in and add those pages in there then. Now you can also go to page settings under your gear sprocket flower. Page settings, we can go in there. We can tell it not to allow comments and not to allow attachments. Disabling the comments is a helpful thing if you don't want students to comment on it, or anybody else for that matter. You can go in and turn those comments off so that they won't show up for anyone to use. Now we see they're gone. Okay? I get that question a lot from folks. Revision history. Pop quiz. Those that were in the first session will see if you were paying attention. You delete a page. How long does it sit in your trash can?
3.
How many?
3.
So I got a 4 weeks and I got a 30 days. Both of them are correct. It's going to sit in your trash can for 4 weeks or 30 days. After that time frame, it's gone completely. You've got that amount of time to recover a page if you accidentally delete one, or if you decide you didn't need it today, but you decide tomorrow you really like to have that page back. You can bring them back. You also have revision history, to where you can go back and see all the different older revisions of your pages or whatever the case may be. Okay? Any other questions? Okay.
The sidebar, is there a way that you can set it up?
Please pardon this interruption. We have just a few minutes before our lunch break officially begins. That lunch break is from 11 o'clock to 12:30. Please note, again, there's a list of local restaurants on the back of the green map to help you make some quick decisions if you're not staying on campus. Do please return and be ready to start promptly at 12:30. If you ordered lunch from ProStart, your lunch will be available for pickup in room C5. Please check in at the desk outside the classroom for your meal tickets. All lunches should be picked up by 11:30, and then at that time, extra plates and desserts may be available for purchase. Our outside guest presenters, you will find a lunch ticket if you have been presenting in sessions 2, 3, and then after lunch 4 and 5, you will have a lunch ticket and you will be reporting to E9 to our green room. Thank you so much.
Say that one more time.
In the sidebar, for example, where you have JV 2015,
Okay.
is there a way that when your site pulls up, that all of the things under it don't show in the sidebar immediately unless you click on the main one and then it drops down? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, so basically,
So it would look like that.
if I go to this site right here, and you see that all of them are collapsed, but then I go to here.
Right. What happens is there a setting somewhere where I can make it all collapse? Because when you visit my site, it's expanded.
Short answer, no. As a user, after they go and they collapse it,
Right.
I believe they are able to. So I just go to the Google site, just like what we were talking about, everything's opened up. Now if I collapse it, alright, and then I'm going to refresh. After I visited it and it's put a cookie on my computer, it's going to save it. Now, it's going to save sort of my settings the way that I had it. But if I was to then go to another computer, it's going to be right back expanded out. It's only going to keep it underneath your profile. It should keep it under your profile. But
So it's more of a user.
it's more of a user. All right. Well, you guys have been wonderful. And the presentation will be posted here in just a few. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Boy, that couldn't have been better timing.
Okay, you said to go
Okay.
sidebar gadgets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, can I move it? It might be because I'm on the iPad.